Hello, and thank you for joining us, everyone. This evening, we are going to be talking about teaching conservation and sustainability with Terra Verde. This is KLRN's very own digital series, and we are excited that you're joining us to learn more. My name is Rachel. I'm the Director of School Services here at KLRN, and I'm so glad you're joining me. So thank you so much. We want to thank PBS for supporting this session, and let's go ahead and get started. So in today's session, we're going to explore some engaging state standards aligned teaching resources that can be used at school and at home from KLRN's digital series Terra Verde. I want to thank PBS for supporting us and thank you, awesome educators, and also awesome participants in general. However, you're joining us this evening, we are glad that you're here and we appreciate you. We know that you do really wonderful work and we thank you for joining us to learn more. So, here are a couple of places where you can find resources from the Terra Verde collection. They can be found on Terra Verde's webpage on KLRN. You can also find them on PBS Learning Media. There are thousands of free educational resources here on PBS Learning Media, and everything on PBS Learning Media is completely free. Lessons and activities are aligned to the state standards and the national standards. We do recommend setting up an account so that you can see the standards, but everything, once again, is totally free. There's a video linked here that shows how you can set up an account and create class rosters, and then more video tutorials can be found here at this link as well. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and just leave these here. You are more than welcome to click on the links in the PDF copy that you'll receive after this evening's session. So here's the digital series and on PBS Learning Media. They are available on KLRN's website and on PBS Learning Media. And just to share a little bit more with you about the digital series, this series, Terra Verde, highlights efforts of conservation and sustainability in South Central Texas. I have had the great pleasure of being able to go alongside the production team as they've done an amazing job filming these digital series, episodes of the series. They're fantastic. So we're going to check them out this evening. And we're going to also see where you can access these resources as well. Once again, on KLRN's webpage and on PBS Learning Media. So if you are living in the San Antonio area or perhaps the area between San Antonio and Austin, you may already be well aware of the fact that this is the fastest growing region of the United States, which is pretty amazing. So as the population is expanding rapidly, we have to start asking some hard questions, such as, will we have enough water? How do we protect our natural resources? And how do we maintain the quality of life this area has had for generations? So Terra Verde is going to look at the people, companies, and communities doing what they can to protect our unique and beautiful environment. Let's go ahead and check out this link here of the KLRN Digital Series, Terra Verde. So right here, you'll see we are on KLRN's webpage, and we have 5 videos already uploaded here. There's one coming up on the way, really exciting stuff. So we're going to be learning about solar energy, indoor farming, a trail system of over protected lands. It's really incredible. Sustainable home building. And then this was a concept that was new to me that I hadn't heard about before, and the children in this video explain it just beautifully. This is the concept of a one water school. So we're going to check out these videos. You'll get to learn more about it just as I did. And I have a feeling that you're going to be just as delighted to learn about all of the great things that are happening and how everybody's working together. Just show you really, really, really quickly here how you can check this out. So it's linked right here in the presentation. As always, at the end of our presentations, we do include a PDF copy with a bookmarked link. So you can take this and have it with you. You can share it with your colleagues. It's there for you to use and enjoy. Here's what PBS Learning Media looks like. I'm going to go ahead and just click on the main page for a second here so that you can see this. Here's what the main page looks like, almost exactly what your main page is going to look like too, only difference being that I'm logged in as Rachel, and I am an admin on PBS Learning Media. So that would really be the only two minor differences. And if your name is also Rachel, well, then we are going to share a very similar looking main page. That being said, you can search for resources right here using the search bar. There are recommended resources, highlighted resources that change about weekly that do cover every area that's offered by PBS Learning Media. Let's check that out, by the way. You can check it out by subjects. So there's science, social studies, math, language arts, engineering, technology, health and physical education, preschool, professional development, the arts and world languages, and you can also search by grade level band. So if you're looking for something for some of our youngest learners, pre-K kinder, you can search there. You can click right here, K through 2nd, 3rd through 5th, 6th through 8th, or 9th through 12th. There's also a student site, but just for all intents and purposes, this evening we're going to just take a brief look at PBS Learning Media and show you how to use this. Now I want to let you know that you can access the resources absolutely, even if you don't have a login and you haven't set up an account, that's absolutely fine. But there's going to be a couple things that you'll be missing out on, if you will. If you do log in, however, you will have access to the state standards that are aligned to the resource. So that makes lesson planning so much easier to have that there available. And you'll also have the opportunity to favorite items and create folders. Again, if you're not logged in, you can absolutely still see the resource. You can still watch the videos. You just won't be able to see the state standards alignment and you won't be able to favorite it. So we do recommend setting up an account for that reason. And again, absolutely free. So here's just a little bit more about KLRN's PBS Learning Media. And then there's a help button down here that just clarifies a few things if you've got some questions. And also you can absolutely reach out to me and I'll be glad to help in any way that I can. And if I don't know the answer, I will help. So with this in mind, we're going to head back to our slides here. We are going to take a look at the land use link of Terra Verde on PBS Learning Media. And the way this is set up on PBS Learning Media for this particular resource and many other fantastic resources as well, this one is set up as a media gallery. And what that means is you're going to have a couple of videos, sometimes more, at least 2 videos, and then a set of support materials. So this is really wonderful that you have these amazing videos, and then they're full of good information, usable information that you can use in the classroom, you can use really in any setting, and also some support materials such as classroom. Focus is land use management practices that are aiming to improve our impact and connection to the environment. These videos about projects in Texas's Hill Country do encourage collaboration and brainstorming of innovative ideas. So one thing that you might consider if you're using this resource in the classroom, which I would suggest, is to invite your students to come up with their ideas. What are some things that they noticed that they liked, or maybe that they hadn't thought of before, maybe some extension ideas that they have for this as well. So this media gallery is going to include the videos of indoor organic farming and a trail system of protected lands. I did include down here the discussion questions, but these are also available on PBS Learning Media. So let's take a closer look. You'll see here that the discussion questions are right here on the slides, but again, they're also available on PBS Learning Media. We're just going to click right here. And then you'll see the way PBS Learning Media is laid out just consistently for all resources is you'll have the title here, the title of the content project, which is Terra Verde. You have an option again to share it to Google Classroom, share a link with students if you have a student site set up, build a lesson plan, share on social media, favorite the item, and then this is a big deal to me. I really was so impressed by this because I spent a lot of years in the classroom and I thought, oh my goodness, how did I not know about PBS Learning Media? This is so cool. So I have to share it with you. It's really neat. Here are the standards. Check it out, my friends. So if you are writing a lesson plan and you're including the standards alongside it, here's where you can find everything. So no need to reinvent the wheel. It is right here for you. Also, a little bit about this resource that we included in the slides as well, as we're talking about creative planning and land management, giving us the opportunity to have discussions perhaps as a group of students, together with our students, from one student to another, talking about their ideas and how these videos made an impact on them as well. So we'll take a closer look at these support materials in just a moment, but first I would like to invite you to watch this with me. This is in indoor organic farming. Let's check it out.
My name is Matt Ryan. I'm the CEO of Solely Organic.
On San Antonio's southeast side at the booming Brooks community sits the country's largest indoor organic farm, Solely Organic. Inside, there are rows of healthy plants moving through a highly sophisticated manufacturing system. Of course, it all starts with a seed.
Not sure if you can see me here. It's 100% humidity in this room, kind of like Houston on a bad day. And what we have here is the germination. It's where plants start their journey after they've had their seeding. Once the leaves come out, they come out of this room and into the nursery next. We are in the nursery. It's where plants go through childhood, if you will. They spend anywhere from 7 to 14 days here before they're ready for the big boy place, the multi-layer as we call it. Right now, these plants are very young. They are getting light, they're getting nutrition through the system here. You can't see the water, it comes up through the trays. And what you have is the perfect growing conditions.
Solely Organic's indoor growing system is unique, using the best of traditional soil farming combined with a sort of hydroponics application.
That's a special sauce because our water allows us to grow organically in soil indoors. Our water has nutrients in it. We produce our own fertilizer. We don't rely on industrial fertilizers here. We use essentially the nitrogen cycle using bacteria to create fertilizer that is precision dosed and organic so that we are able to grow in soil indoors in a very controlled way. So there's a complicated system of pipes and everything that stands behind here. And what we are able to do is in our water room produce the fertilizer solution in the water that comes in. And it is actually flowing through these square pipes right here. There's water inside that comes up into these trays, and the water comes into the plants from below. You don't want water pouring on top of plants. That's not good. You want to sub-irrigate.
This soil-based growing system is more efficient than hydroponics.
Unfortunately, with hydroponics, they don't tend to have the ability to grow organically. When you grow in soil, and we have the fertilizer solution we have, we're able to grow in soil indoors. And that's a terrific advantage for us because what ends up happening is we can grow plants much more efficiently. Any good farmer knows, my grandfather was a farmer, that you have to be able to control how much water a plant gets. When you're growing in hydroponics, that's difficult to do because it's water flowing through the system all the time. We can control the amount of irrigation the plant gets, stressing it appropriately so that all the energy of the plant goes into growing the saleable parts of the plants, like the leaves here that you see on this arugula.
Being able to water and grow produce like this saves precious water resources and land.
What we're able to do is grow plants using 90% less water than the field. And in this day and age, when water is a problem, especially in places like California where so much of the nation's produce is grown, this is an incredible savings. We also use only 1/100th of the land that typically is used by farming, so we don't need to take more land to feed the world. We can do it in a much smaller space, and we can do it in places where you normally can't grow things like arugula in places like Texas.
While the plants are grown in plastic pots, it doesn't leach into the vegetation.
The plastic here is 100% neutral. It doesn't affect the plants at all. It is organic certified, and we're allowed to grow in the plastic here because it doesn't affect the plants in any way.
The lighting for the plants is also part of this efficient growing process.
The lights are a special spectrum that we have that replicates the very best of sunlight. So what we are able to do is control the amount of sunlight plants get. Even nature can't do that. And it's one of the reasons why our plants grow faster in here than they grow outdoors. It's part of the efficiency of our business.
The lighting changes depending on the plant.
It varies by crop. And what we're able to do is come up with the ideal formula that each crop requires. So our arugula, our lettuce, our parsley, our cilantro, our thyme, our dill, you name it, all have different requirements, and we adjust what we actually provide to the plants based on what the plant is.
Plants at Solely Organic are packed tightly together initially, then spread out as they grow, a procedure that contributes to the efficacy of this type of farming.
The nice thing about growing indoors is you can control the amount of space a plant has. Once you plant something outside, it needs the same amount of space from the time it's a seed to the time it's grown up. Here we adjust the amount of space a plant needs. And this allows us to grow with a lot less space usage and give the plants exactly the amount of space that they need to thrive at their very top performance.
You might be surprised at this, but beer is an important part of the Solely Organic growing process.
If you remember your high school biology, plants like carbon dioxide. Humans not necessarily, but plants do. And we have to provide extra carbon dioxide to get optimal growing conditions. What we do in order to get that is we bring in carbon dioxide that's been the byproduct of producing things like beer at breweries, organic beer and so on, and we bring the carbon dioxide from those breweries that we capture at the breweries into these facilities and release the carbon dioxide so the plants have the optimal concentration of carbon dioxide.
As the world's population grows, what you are seeing here at Solely Organics will likely become more common.
A lot less acreage to feed more people. Our mission here is to do it in as effective a way as possible to keep our costs down. So by using less space, less water, a lot less other stuff, less people than you would normally associate with growing in the field, and all the labor that's involved, and importantly, all that waste that you don't have from field farming. That allows us to grow very, very efficiently.
This new San Antonio location is important because it cuts down on food miles, which is the transportation involved in shipping food. When food that could formerly only grow in California, for example, can now be grown in San Antonio, that cuts a lot of carbon emissions as it lowers the food miles. The importance of this work isn't lost on Matt.
I'm at a point in my life where I start looking at what's happening in the world. And the world is challenged by climate, the food supply is challenged. We've done an awful lot of bad things to our planet. And what we're hoping to do here is stabilize the supply of fresh produce for the world. That's an important thing, and it needs our attention.
Thank you, friends, for joining us for that. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. As you can see here, this is a KLRN original, so it's really neat. Here's right where you can see it on PBS Learning Media. Now we're going to move on to another form of land use that we'd like to discuss. You may be familiar with the Great Springs Project, so let's check out this video here.
The Great Springs Project is an initiative to connect a 100-plus mile network of trails from San Antonio to Austin, from the Alamo to the Capitol, connecting 4 great springs along the way. The San Antonio Springs, Comal Springs in New Braunfels, San Marcos Springs, and Barton Springs in Austin. Most of the trail is over the recharge zone of the Edwards Aquifer, and we do that to bring attention to the place. The Edwards Aquifer is one of the world's great natural resources. It's the drinking water supply for over 2 million people. The southern part of the Great Springs is, we say San Antonio Springs, it's the blue hole on the campus of Incarnate Word. From there, Comal Springs in New Braunfels, San Marcos Springs, and Barton Springs in Austin. They're all part of the artesian zone of the Edwards Aquifer, where the springs are, where the water pops up. Early on, we had an economic impact analysis done of the idea of a 100-mile trail connecting San Antonio and Austin. And through that, we looked at 4 categories: health, transportation, sales tax, and some ecological benefits. And it was $60 million, just under $60 million. And we fully expect that number will grow substantially. When you look at regional trails around the country, in almost every case, they outperform the initial economic impact. So if you build it, they will come for this kind of infrastructure. When we talk about economic impact or the impact of a large-scale regional trail like the Great Springs Trail, there's so many factors that go into that. We've talked about physical health, mental health benefits, we talk about economic impact, but quality of life is a very, very significant part of that. It's a highly competitive environment to recruit new businesses around the country and to retain businesses. And one of those things that all these businesses look to is what will our employees think about living in that place or working in that place. To have high quality access to outdoors and great recreational opportunities that are safe, that are protected, and that are close to their homes. And the way that we do that is intentionality. We work hard to make sure that the trails and the parks are near places where people can use and that they're safe. One of the amazing things about the San Antonio to Austin Trail is that there's nothing like it that exists anywhere in this country. A trail that connects two large and growing cities and that connects urban and rapidly developing cities along the way, but that has urban and rural components, it just doesn't exist. And that's one of the things that we think is so great and fun. But it also provides an opportunity to really be out in the country and to experience the great things about Central Texas in the Hill Country, the things that make Texas great. It's a big regional collaborative. We work with all the cities, the counties, the river authorities, real estate developers, other nonprofits, and just people, because this is something that people want. It's a big Texas-sized gift, it's a big Texas-sized project, and we're just super excited to be a part of it.
Thank you, my friends. So as you can see, there's some pretty amazing things that are happening right here in the San Antonio and Austin area. I hope that you've enjoyed that. Okay, so being that this particular media gallery is focused on land use, I'd like to also show you, and again, this is totally free and accessible to everybody, the support materials that are for teachers and the support materials for use with students. So let's check them out. They're linked right here on the side of the page. As with all PBS Learning Media resources, you can find them consistently in the same area on the page. So the driving question that we're looking at here is how might sustainable land management impact the effects of climate change? So that one's like opening up a large discussion here, right? We see our science and engineering practices listed here that we're asking questions and defining problems based on observations or information from text, phenomena, models, or investigations. We're planning and implementing descriptive, comparative, and experimental investigations, including asking questions, formulating testable hypotheses, and selecting equipment and technology. And we're also evaluating the environmental impact of different forms of land management. So here's your focal points here. Cross-cutting concepts, cause and effect. Consider the ways in which land is used and how that can benefit people and the environment. So now we can move along, and PBS Learning Media doesn't offer like a grading scale or anything like that. You can use your own system or however you want to implement this in your classroom, but we do want to include here that the science and engineering practices are included right here for you, the driving question to help kind of guide your lessons, along with the discussion questions, the support materials for students, and the support materials for teachers. Everything's right here, and there's absolutely no cost. So cause and effect, considering the ways in which land is used and how that can benefit people and the environment. Before viewing, we might consider something along the lines of having a conversation like, when visiting a park, what are some observations that you can make about the way people and animals are using the land, right? Perhaps that could guide planning of a park, of land management. Do you think it is better to farm certain crops indoors or outdoors? And what are some reasons that you have for that? While viewing the video, here's a couple of questions, some for video 1, some for indoor farming, and some for the trail system of protected lands. So in video 1, consider what crops are being grown indoors. What do you notice about the environment in which the crops are grown? So thinking about that in perhaps a larger concept of crops, right? There's certain things that lend themselves very well to being grown indoors. Other things, obviously like a great big orange tree, that might not do so well indoors. But indoors, or outdoors, there's different options here. And why do you think each one might be a beneficial environment? What conditions can be controlled better indoors than outdoors? And what environmental and social challenges does indoor farming address? Now, in video two, the trail system of protected lands, we can ask the questions, what do you notice about the trail system in the video? And what factors are considered when planning a large-scale trail? You may be familiar with the parks system here in San Antonio, which is pretty incredible. As you've noticed in the video too, the Great Springs Project is really connecting a very large area, two very large areas, and everywhere in between. So you get to see this beautiful land, also be out in nature. There's so many benefits from it. The park system here in San Antonio is quite vast, so we encourage you to check that out too. In video two, what do we notice about the trail system in the video? And what factors are considered when planning a large-scale trail? I'm so sorry, I just repeated myself there. After we're viewing the video, here are some questions to consider, which you might discuss as a class. Do you think farming indoors would work well in the area where you live? Why or why not? Why do you think the trail system was built in the area where it is located? So if you're already here in San Antonio, you may know some things about the kind of weather we can expect here, right? What the climate is typically like. So those are questions to have in mind, as well as other ideas. It's not an exhaustive list. These are questions to get us started to having a discussion. Okay, now on to the next media gallery of architecture. This is about architecture. This is Terra Verde. We are going to be discussing sustainable home building and also the concept of a one water school. So there are a variety of techniques used for building large structures with the health of the environment in mind. These videos explore homes and schools that use innovative solutions to address pressing environmental challenges. So here's just some photos from the videos here. So we're going to start with a one water school here.
In the heart of the Texas Hill Country is a new inspiration for water conservation and construction, the first one water school in Texas, Blue Hole Primary in Wimberley.
We use the term one water to kind of describe this entire system, that this water is valued at every part of the water cycle, whether it's rainwater, groundwater, gray water, black water, reuse water, it all has value.
One Water is an integrated approach to water that manages all water on site as a single resource. At Blue Hole Primary, rainwater is collected as it falls and is diverted into storage tanks. At the front of the school is the smallest of 3 tanks. This 10,000-gallon tank supplies water for landscape needs.
The water in the tank is rainwater. The water in the tank in front of the Blue Hole Primary is used to water the grass and trees in front of the building. The gutters right over there bring the water into the tank.
Just to the side of the school is a 225,000-gallon fire suppression tank.
This water is only for firefighters. It feeds the fire hydrant and fire sprinklers, and it has hose connections.
Nearby is the lowest and widest of the tanks, collecting rainwater and air conditioning condensate for interior non-potable needs.
It holds more than 200,000 gallons, and it collects rainwater, and as you can see, there's purple it's from the purple pipes.
Those purple pipes carry the non-potable water back outside. But before that happens, a lot happens inside this small building.
Welcome to the command room, where this is where all the work that this thing does for us comes in and starts starting to produce, go back into the school. This is identified as a purple tag. That means it's reclaimed water. And what it does is this goes back into the school, but before it does that, it has to go through this system here. This system has a 3-pump phase on it where it brings the water in and it filters it through this system called, simple term, socks. These socks collect any sediment that come off the roof, make sure that they're clean and ready to go. The way it's identified when it goes into school, it has a blue pond eye, which if you go into the school, you can look in the toilets and see it's blue color. That's a distinctive color saying, hey, this is a reused water, reclaimed water.
Not far from the small building is another major feature of this One Water school, the wastewater treatment and filter units.
Well, this system is designed to do 3 phases. There's solids that are going into the system that comes from the school. It's a holding tank in the middle, and the last one's a drain one where everything that's liquid is formed over there. Then it's processed and it goes into a drain leach field out here where it actually dispenses out through a aerobic system that sprays sprinkler heads out that keeps the movement of the waste clean and out. Is where the kids are out there playing right now.
The filtered wastewater is distributed in this subsurface drip irrigation field with 7 miles of drip lines. Those lines are covered with sand, soil, and grass, deep enough to prevent odor, but perfect for maintaining a green playing field.
In the middle of summer, it can be 200 degrees and it's still green out there.
Inside the school, the colored pipe system is designed so students can understand the One Water system and how the water is carried and distributed throughout the building and grounds.
All the pipes are color-coded to what they mean. Red is hot and potable water. Blue is cold and also potable water. They are both Aquatex's groundwater. Yellow means ventilation. Green is gray water. You can also call it dirty water. Purple is rainwater and AC condensate, also known as site harvested water.
Back at the front of the school, both decorative limestone blocks and pavers allow for water to return to the Trinity Aquifer that sits underneath the Wimberley community. It's the same water-saving concept with the curbless parking lot.
See how there is not that many curbs in this parking lot like this one? That's because the parking lot is in an angle so the rainwater can go into the grass and sink in.
Blue Hole Primary does have a backup connection to the city's municipal water supply.
In the summer or warm weather, the AC condensate units can generate between 600 to 1,000 gallons of AC condensate a day. So even when it's not raining, the building is creating water.
It's a model for the future.
At this young age, for these kids to be exposed to that and to learn and to have that as part of their ethos is really tremendous, because the challenges ahead are going to be greater for them.
So thank you so much for joining me for that one as well. I mean, that was just incredibly eye-opening. And the fact that the students knew so much about it, they were very well versed in the way that their school runs and how the water is used so creatively, so efficiently, and with the environment in mind and the school in mind. It's really outstanding. So that was brand new to me, and I thought that was incredible. Now I want to share with you about sustainable home building happening right here in San Antonio. So we'll check out this video here.
In a sea of home builders who see only profit as the motivating factor, Juan Fernandez, owner of CVF Homes, stands out. The San Antonio-based builder makes every home he builds green certified.
All of the projects that we do, we're committed on certifying them zero energy ready. So we try to make sure that since the design, we include all the features to comply with that certification. Has to do with the design on how the sun, with the location, how the windows, where you place the windows and all of that, and the type of insulation, and also to make sure that the air conditioning is calculated to consider what kind of windows and the type of insulation that you install and all of that, to make sure that you size it right. And of course, installing a very energy efficient air conditioner, which is the biggest energy draw here in Texas.
CVF Homes does infill development. This home is in the Dignowity Hill neighborhood on the city's east side, and it sits right at the foot of the Hayes Street Bridge. Nestled in the trees, the new build looks like it's always been here, and it's built to stay.
all the outside, specifically to this house, is fiber cement. So it's a non-combustible and you don't get termites or anything with it. This roofing, it's a seam metal roof. It's the galvanized color, which is really good because it reflects a lot of the sun. So it's great. I mean, it's a great roof because it reflects the light and it helps keep the house a little bit cooler.
How the home is insulated is vital to the green building certification done by the U.S. Department of Energy. A local energy rater does the testing.
The ceiling of the house has to do with the construction, just to make sure that you don't leave gaps, and you make sure that you seal and do all the tapes to make sure that you seal as much as possible. And on top of that, we add the spray foam insulation just to make sure that the house is very tight and sealed correctly. They do a blower door test, which actually they pressurize the house to make sure that they measure the pressure and confirm how many air changes per hour the house has according to that measure.
The insulation ensures cleaner air and moisture control inside the house.
You're going to be having controlled air on the moisture of the air that you have in the inside, which makes you feel better inside. And you don't get pollutants from the outside, dust and things like that, because you have a really tight home. And you just need to make sure that with that you control the fresh air and the exchanges to make sure that the quality of the air inside the house is great.
The windows and doors are designed for insulation.
We're using fiberglass windows, which are very efficient because they do not transfer the heat on the frame itself. And also the kind of glass that we use, it's a special dual pane with a special gas inside to try to make them as efficient as possible to prevent the sun and the heat transfer to the inside of the house. You know, this door is a fiberglass, and we use fiberglass doors because with the sun exposure, this house is facing south. So with the sun exposure, with the wood, you eventually get, I mean, you need to redo, I mean, sand and on the fiberglass doors, even though it looks like a wood, you don't need to do anything.
Inside, the efficient layout is bright with natural light. That means less energy usage.
You do not need to turn any lights during the day because we have natural light throughout the house. So that makes it, even on the bathroom, so it makes it very nice to have natural light. Even in the garage, we have natural light.
The garage also houses a unique water heater.
We installed what they call the heat pump water heaters, which are amazing. These water heaters work exactly as an air conditioning system. So actually, they're cooling the garage to heat the water. So they're pulling the heat from the garage to heat the water. So when they're running, you can feel that the garage is slightly cooler. And it's pretty neat, and they're very energy efficient. So the nice thing or feature of these water heaters are one of the most efficient ones. So you see the energy chart here goes from 120 to 423, and this is 115, so it's off the chart of the energy. So it's very, very good. This is a smart recirculating pump. So the way it works is that it learns what time do you usually use the hot water. So automatically will recirculate the hot water. So you're taking a shower at 6 a.m. or whatever, but by 6 a.m. you will turn on the hot water and it's hot already. So you're using less water.
The garage also comes ready to charge an electric vehicle. The house is also solar ready if the homeowner wants to add solar panels. Back inside, sustainably grown mesquite is used on the stairs and upstairs flooring. Low-flow fixtures are used in the bathroom, and computer monitoring can cut off water to the home in case of a leak. These energy-efficient, sustainable homes that Juan Fernandez builds truly come from the heart.
I want to be proud of the houses that I built. I like building houses, and any house that I built, I will live in it. So I want to build only good products. At the end, I mean, it's a better product. If you're making a product that it's going to be using less resources and it's going to last longer, so you're building a better product. So that's the end of it. I mean, that's kind of my conviction.
Thank you, friends. So as you can see, there is a lot of intentional practice happening in how the choices that are made which types of materials to use in home building and how it can be built with sustainability in mind. So I hope you've enjoyed that as well. Here, let's take a look at these teaching tips that are available on PBS Learning Media here. So just the driving question being, how can a structure be built with the environment in mind? Asking questions to investigate science and finding problems to solve is engineering. Our cross-cutting concept here, is cause and effect. Design choices can help limit a building's impact on its environment. As we're looking at these videos, we might consider these questions before viewing these videos. We might consider these following questions. What are some ways that you have noticed water being used in residential and commercial settings? And what ideas do you have for mitigating climate change in the environment where you live? While viewing, we want students to be kind of mindful of what they're hearing, listening for key points to listen for. You're absolutely more than welcome to watch the videos more than once. But in video one, in the One Water School, we want to describe how water is being used in the school and what are the different classifications of the water in the school. What are the benefits of this water system? In video two, about sustainable home building, we might consider what considerations we're taking into account, when building the homes. What elements of the home are different from a standard home design, and maybe even a possible follow-up question to that: what features maybe appear the same or very similar, look the same, and perhaps that's an intentional choice there as well. After viewing, we want to consider these questions. How can we avoid wasting water? So not only us here in Central and South Texas, where it is very hot, we don't often get a lot of rain, but also just in general, we want to be mindful of our water usage, right? So how can we avoid wasting water? There is a fantastic point that was brought up in one amazing resource as well that we work with Watt Watchers. And one of the things that's encouraged, and it's so very simple, but when you leave a room, you turn off the light, right? When you're brushing your teeth, when you have the toothbrush, with the toothpaste and the toothbrush is wet, you're ready to brush your teeth, turn off the water. You don't need to have the water running, right? It sounds simple and it sounds like, oh, that wouldn't make that much of a difference, but it's a very simple thing to do and every little bit counts, right? So something in mind there. How can we improve the efficiency of heating and cooling systems while having a minimal impact on the environment? So these are great questions to be able to ask, especially as we consider how our climate is changing and how we can help make choices that will minimize the impact of that. For discussion questions for students, we want to consider what are some ways that you've noticed water being used in residential and commercial settings? What ideas do we have for mitigating climate change in the environment where you live? How can we avoid wasting water? And how can we improve efficiency of heating and cooling systems while having a minimal impact on the environment? So that's right there. There's also architecture. So talking about what sustainable home building is, this is a method of construction that aims to reduce a home's negative impact on the environment and the owner's carbon footprint. Sustainable homes are built, operated, and maintained in a way that uses resources efficiently. The one water concept. Again, this was very new to me. Perhaps this is something that you viewing this are already familiar with, but this was new to me and I was fascinated by it. The one water concept is an approach that manages all water, whether from the tap, in a collaborative, integrated, inclusive, and holistic manner. So I encourage you to check this out. Now let's head on back to our slides. Again, you can see just a sample of the discussion questions here as well. And now we are going to have one more video coming up. So I encourage you again to check out KLRN Terra Verde. It's also going to be completely available on PBS Learning Media as well, but I'd like to share this one last video with you about solar power. So this local solar power company has partnered with the city of San Antonio to install solar panels at 42 city-owned facilities. We visited one of the sites and we learned how these solar panels work. and how they work using the existing electric grid and how they do more than just supply power and save money. Let's check it out. It's pretty cool.
This is really exciting. We partnered with Big Sun Solar to install on-site solar at 42 city facilities over the next couple of years. At the end of the project, we'll have 13 megawatts of solar installed. It is the largest municipal on-site solar project in Texas, and it's second largest in the nation, only behind New York City.
San Antonio has taken advantage of the bright Texas sun with a city initiative to install and utilize solar power on more than 36 city buildings. It's part of the city's carbon neutral goal outlined in the SA Climate Ready Climate Action Adaptation Plan.
My name is Doug Melnick, Chief Sustainability Officer for the City of San Antonio. The Office of Sustainability is focused on improving the overall efficiency, performance, and just general sustainability for the city organization through promoting energy efficiency, renewable energy, electrified vehicles, but we also work with the community on broader sustainability measures. And our big focus right now is implementing the city's climate plan that was approved by Council in 2019.
A big focus needs big plans, and it's fitting the company to help is named Big Sun Solar. City Council has contracted with Big Sun Solar to install solar panels at 42 city facilities. Andrew Wood is the Vice President for the company.
Every time we install a solar panel in San Antonio, let's say, it's going into that building, which helps reduce the demand on the grid. So that building's actually producing its own electricity, and they don't have to rely on the grid as much to pull that electricity.
At this city building, the solar panels will have a huge impact.
This is actually a mixture of solar canopies and rooftop solar. There's about 2,500 of them, and it's going to offset about 70% of this building's load. The photons from the sun hit the silicon within the solar panels, which excites the silicon and generates electricity, and they're producing direct current. That energy goes directly into the inverters, which converts it to alternating current, which then goes into the building and can supply the building with their power. So this is what we call a behind the meter system. So this energy goes directly into the building. So it's going into the building's main switchgear, which means that's electricity they don't have to buy from the utility company. So when the sun's shining like it is today, they're actually producing their own electricity, or at least a portion of their own electricity, and then the rest of it is coming from the energy grid.
This is a grid-tied solar system, so when the sun isn't shining, electrical needs are powered from CPS Energy via the grid.
This particular site does not have any battery backup, so this is strictly behind the meter, grid-tied solar, so there's no storage. You could essentially think of the utility company as our storage. If there is excess production here, if the building's being 100% powered by the solar, we can actually send electricity back to the grid here.
The panels aren't just on the rooftop, they are also solar canopies that were installed on an existing parking lot, providing a nice benefit for employees here.
We did a study of a car that was out baking in the sun versus a car under one of these solar canopies, and inside that vehicle was actually 50 degrees cooler when it was underneath the solar canopy. It's nice when people finish work, they can come out to their cool car, get in it, not have to bake for a few minutes.
San Antonio's goal with the Climate Ready Climate Action Adaptation Plan is to have all buildings at net zero energy by the year 2040. Fortunately, at this time, the city was able to take advantage of a federal plan.
We put an RFP out for over 100 city facilities to see what the market would be able to bring us. I think the expectation was we weren't sure if the numbers were going to work out. Solar has always been a premium, but our timing was good because of the Inflation Reduction Act. So basically what you're seeing here is a project that for every dollar spent, we will receive 40 cents back from the federal government. So suddenly the economics of solar were not only going to allow us to break even, it's going to produce revenue long-term over the 20-plus year life of these installations.
Sun's power for our power. This is just the first step in how we will have to live in the future.
Climate change is a complex issue. Science is clear. We've known about climate change for decades and decades and decades. In order to address our contributions to climate change, there's no silver bullet. It's how people move around the city. It's how we power our homes and businesses. It definitely requires international and national leadership, but local entities have a tremendous role in making a difference. This is about people's quality of life and what that future is going to look like.
Thank you, friends. I appreciate you watching that with me. So as you can see, there's many benefits to the manner in which they are using the solar panels. Even from being able to cool the area and then also providing electricity. Really innovative thinking happening here. Well, my friends, thank you so much for joining us to learn more about Terra Verde. And again, here is where we can see that. I'd like to show you the page one more time. There's going to be one more coming up on KLRN site. So be on the lookout for that. klrn.org/programming/Terra Verde. So thank you for joining us. I hope you have a great day, and please do reach out to us with any questions at education@klrn.org. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.